Hello and welcome to the Bandwagon Podcast, a show where we take a deep dive into the music industry. I'm your host Charlie Cooper, and this week my guest is my wife. Elizabeth Cooper is a singer, content creator and actress. Today we get into her live and recording experience, viral videos and her life on the other kind of stage.
Grateful to be here at our dining table.
Yes. For the first time, I'm recording not remotely. Ooh. We are doing it, right here in the dining table area.
We're doing it right here.
In the dining table area.
In the dining table area.
Yes.
Now tell them our relationship with each other.
So, Lizzie is my wife. So this is a very different dynamic. I have interviewed quite a few people on this show now. Some people that I know well, some people I don't know at all, and now the person I know best. So this is a very different dynamic. So I'm just going to go in straight like I do when I interview anybody else, really. So you've not done music for a long time. You had about 8-year hiatus from music, and now you're back doing it in quite a lot of different innovative ways, contrary to the traditional way of doing things. What made you want to come back now? What was it?
Back with a bang. That's an interesting question. I feel like I don't really feel like I am it. Like, it has been like I did it for a while and then I stopped, had 8 years off, and then I'm coming back now. I feel like it's just been a flowing thing, really, of how I am with music and how comfortable I felt, and other things that have taken precedent over the years. And then now, honestly, I'm in a better place mentally than I was for a lot of time in that time. And it's just been a really easy flow. It's not like, oh, I'm coming back, it's not like that. It's just an evolution of what I want to be doing.
So now that you are back, however that is looking for you now, you are doing it very differently from how you did before. You are performing live, but you're doing a lot more of that in a live stream format on TikTok, rather than to audiences who are there in the room with you. How does that compare to what you did before with the audience interaction, engagement, all that kind of side of it?
I've always done music online in one way or another. So when I was out gigging and stuff like a while ago, I was always putting YouTube videos online and creating my own music videos for my original music. I've always done that, and I've always really, really enjoyed that. So I wouldn't say it's different. I think it's just where I put my attention now is different. And I think the music industry has actually evolved so much since that anyway. I think even back when I started getting into music, like even from back then, all of the huge musicians at the time who were blowing up, like likes of Justin Bieber, etc., all started on YouTube. So it was definitely the place to be, and that's still the case. So many people start on the internet now, of course. So I think it's just, honestly, like I just, it's just literally a different time of my life. Like I haven't actively chosen to do one or the other. I have just followed what was happening at the time, and I got on the internet post-pandemic when everyone else was getting on TikTok, and started posting stuff then, and it's just evolved from there. And I suppose when I was gigging, all of my best friends were musicians who were gigging, and I was so in that life, and it was just natural.
So you mentioned there, and I completely agree with you, so much has changed. What's the biggest change you've noticed?
In the music industry?
Yeah, or just your experience of it.
Wow, okay. I think more people are open to the online side of things. I think it's always been there, but it used to be that when you were on YouTube, I remember trying to get people to subscribe to my YouTube, and they were like, "What? What do you mean you're on YouTube? Like, that's really foreign." And now it's quite weird to not have an account on any form of social media, unless it's like a new platform that people haven't joined up to yet. So I think it's become a lot more mainstream, and I think it's a lot more accepted. I think back in the day it was like, I've done this music piece, or like I've recorded this cover and I'm really proud of it, and it'd be great if you could check it out. And they're like, oh yeah, let me remember to do that. And now they'll be on their phones, and if you're connected with them, they're automatically going to see it.
Yeah.
So it's more people are there, basically.
Yeah, the accessibility's gone sky high, you know.
It used to feel like the people who were on YouTube, it was like this special little club of people, and like only this certain group of people were on there, and you had to find people who had an account who would be happy to support you, rather than the way it works now. It is really, really different, and it, like, that was never a problem. It felt like quite a cool thing.
Yeah, it's a funny one with YouTube, because when it come about, it was not that far after MySpace, which was pretty much at the time. MySpace and music at its time is basically what TikTok is now. You know, it was where people went. You could have you could have a song on your profile.
I mean, I am too young for MySpace.
Yeah.
I like to highlight that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I had to be convinced to get a Facebook account. To come off of MySpace and get a Facebook account. I
didn't want a Facebook account because my dad was on Facebook, and I thought that was really uncool. But I did have a Bebo, and there was a good amount of music on Bebo, but I don't think it's as much as MySpace.
No, it was completely different plugins, and it wasn't as customizable and that kind of thing. But then you had music forums and all that kind of thing. Forum. I mean, for the kids. A forum is a place where you know sort of your village Facebook group where like you just got like people shouting at each other in the comments, all caps. It was like that before that.
There are people in my life who regularly call me old at the grand old age of 29, and if they happen to listen to this, I would just like to remind everybody that 29 is not old. Although, when talking about the music industry, and particularly for women, it is very old, but, you know, that's a separate conversation.
I'd just like to highlight you calling me old when I turned 25. And how do you feel about that statement now?
Well, due to my ageing, I don't remember that happening. I would like to challenge that claim.
Of course, right. So you've been a very vocal advocate of empowering other, not just musicians, but creatives to follow their passions. What advice do you give people who are hesitant or uncertain about pursuing that creativity? And I think a big thing is about being seen doing it. It is a big fear for people.
So true.
How and it's, you know, that's something I definitely struggle with on occasion. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts around that for yourself, and what advice do you give to others?
I feel like there is so much advice that you could potentially give to someone that wants to start pursuing any kind of creative passion, or any passion really. If you're not there, the journey to starting to do it is quite a big emotional journey, but I can definitely highlight some bits. I think the point you made about being seen is one that I've really learned in, say, the past year or so, and particularly with being on TikTok. I think some of my most successful TikToks, or the times when I would garner more of a following in a shorter amount of time, have always been the times when I felt completely comfortable being authentic and just being seen and not hiding behind a filter. And learning that is a really hard skill, because we are all taught to be perfect online and to not share anything that is, you know, less than that bar or is a little bit weird. But actually it's those things that kind of allow people to feel safe watching you, because they can relate to you a lot more. So that is a really big one, and that's quite a hard thing to let your brain know, because our brains are not wired to feel safe being seen by masses of people. Our brains are literally wired to be seen by like the tribe of cavemen that we function in, and that it's not evolved beyond that. So learning that is really hard, but that is really, really valuable if you are actually looking to achieve any goal, but also particularly to grow a platform. If you're just starting out, oh my gosh, it really depends where you're coming from. I think if you are, my best advice is from moving from that place of absolute fear of, well, you know, what am I doing? Is it good enough? What does this mean about me? And then just learning to just plug into what you love. Unfortunately, the best advice is always to just do it, but it takes a lot of mental prep. And I think it's about learning that barrier between self-care and self-discipline. Because sometimes you can skip out on doing something that you know is helpful for you because you're doing it from a self-care perspective, but actually you're being harmful because you really are just depriving yourself of a goal. And really it's that muscle that I think flexing that's what helped me bridge that gap.
No, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And I think the thing is with anything creative, whether it's you know, music, dance, arts, acting, which we'll get onto in a little bit, it's very primal feeling, you know. 100%. So I understand what you're saying there about the tribal thing and about the tribe of cavemen. I mean, we live in Crawley, so there's still actually quite a lot of them knocking around. So I really get that.
Location out to my TikTok followers.
I mean, I talk about Crawley a lot on this podcast.
Joking.
Okay? I literally gig at the football ground. I won't give out our address or anything like that. Don't worry about that. Or my blood type, mainly because I don't know my blood type. But otherwise, I'll tell everyone. So,
you don't?
So, for now. No one sasses my stupid jokes normally on this show.
Get ready.
So, as someone who's, I mean, you know, an actor and a musician, how have you balanced those forms of expression, and how does one complement the other, or how does one take away from the other if it does at all?
I feel like you're asking me questions, and it's sounding like I'm going to have prepared some really, you know, very clear cut. Yes, this is how one affects the other, and this is where the boundaries lie. But there really is none. Like no. I just, I feel like the more I do anything creative, the more it flows. So I think I had a real creative block when I was, you know, absent from doing anything fun. So I think bit by bit I've added more things on to what I'm doing, and they don't take away from each other at all. They complement each other. I'm actually working on a project, local Crawley project at the moment at the Horth.
Don't tell them where it is.
With the wonderful Pitchy Breath Theatre Company, who are doing a play of Hedda Gabler in November, which is a wonderful, scary play, which I adore, and I'm actually doing the music for that. I'm just waiting for you to make fun of me saying music.
Oh. So Lizzie massively overpronounces her hard C's and her K's. Like, she won't have a slice of cake, she'll have a slice of cake.
No.
Like, so
Firstly, I haven't been eating cake because I've been training.
Oh, yes.
Secondly, you're just not very...
how's this going for you right now?
It's harder when there's no camera. I'm so used to getting my phone out and just talking to my phone like I'm on FaceTime.
Yeah.
And I get in the right frame of mind for it. And now I'm just talking to you, and I just don't know what to say.
Yeah, well.
You know, it's good for, 8 years together.
Yeah, I was going to say, if only we were more familiar with each other. So back to the acting there. This is something else you hadn't done for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And then went back to last year where you were in Pitchy Breath's production of The Tempest, which of course I came to a couple of times. And
Thanks for that.
oh, no, you're very welcome. And I'm not just saying this. It was absolutely fantastic, and seeing you do something that I'd not seen you do before, but knew you were passionate about, was so special. I didn't understand a fucking word of what was going on, but other than that, it was. No, I'm exaggerating.
You
It's
rehearsed
not,
the script with me for weeks, but
Yeah.
you didn't know what was going on.
I mean, it's Shakespearean English, and I am dyslexic, so it wasn't easy. But no, I did. I'm
but
saying that in jest.
What you're about to say was that the acting was of such high quality that you understood.
Pretty much, yeah. That is pretty much where I was going with that, because the expression from you and the other actors, there were so many good actors in that.
Yeah.
Just local talent.
We are so lucky because you can walk into most. I mean, I'm very supportive of anybody who wants to get into acting. Absolutely go and do it. But it's a bit of a stereotype that you can walk into any village and find something a little bit.
Like the Amdram in Afterlife or something like that.
You
can
can
find
Afterlife.
Like the Amdram that you get in village halls.
Like, Shaun of the Dead. It's got that kind of oh no, Hot Fuzz, isn't it? Oh, I'm really messing this up.
Oh yeah, Hot Fuzz. Yes, with the Romeo and Juliet thing. Can you imagine a zombie Romeo and Juliet? I'm doing it now. In Shaun of the Dead.
Is this our neurodivergency?
I'm guessing so. This is going to be an absolute train wreck. We're only 17 minutes in. 16, not even 17. See? Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
Breath. I was saying that there's an array of acting quality talent in. That doesn't even make sense. We're really lucky in Crawley. The people are very talented. Done.
And there's the episode title. Not like the title of the episode.
No, but I really mean it. Like acting has that stereotype that you go to an Amdram, no one's trained, no one knows the play, and everyone forgets their lines and all of that sort of stuff. But with the theatre company that I work with and other theatre companies locally, the talent that we have around here is like literally like professional level. I'm of course not talking about myself here, but
I mean, I thought you were absolutely excellent. I really did, and it was just like watching that with some of our friends and family on both occasions when I come to see it, and I was just like, what? Like, because I've never seen that. I've never seen you do it before, and it's a great example. You're setting an excellent example to anyone wants to go into anything creative, because you jumped right back into something that you'd not done in a long time but had wanted to do, and jumped in. Not only did you get a role, you got a pretty big role. It was one of the main roles.
I don't think there are small roles in that play.
No,
and there are no small roles. There are.
What if you're playing a burrower? Or Stuart Little?
I don't personally know anyone that has played Stuart Little, so I can't really comment on that.
Okay.
By the way, cash or card?
For what?
For the compliment.
Oh. Hang on. I haven't done my tax return yet. Cash. So, I mean, but going on from that, you're talking about the head of Gabler. You've got a different role in that. Very different role from the sort of role you played.
Really different, yeah.
And it's not necessarily, from what you've told me, a main speaking part. It's a musical part in a thing that isn't a musical.
Yeah.
and that fucks with my head a little bit, if I'm totally honest.
The musical would be very odd.
I saw a Macbeth musical when I was at school.
Yeah, how was that?
Fucking trippy.
Exactly.
Like,
there we go.
I've never taken shrooms, but if I did, I would imagine
there's going to be someone
be like.
who's got this on in the background. They're just listening like a little bit, and then they're going to be like, Crawley's got a Hedda Gabler the musical going on.
And they're all on shrooms. What?
Well, no. Yeah, it's a completely different role. Last year I played a very sultry, evil woman.
Thanks for that.
But yeah, who was trying to manipulate the men around her to kill other people. In that play, the Shakespearean character is typically a man, and we gender swapped it, which was really interesting. So I got to play with that. This one, my character is not actually in the original script, but we have 3 on stage, basically servants, but we are there to add a little bit of. I think we're still developing things at the moment, but it's a very dark play, and you need a bit of a comedic lift here and there. So I think we'll probably be serving that, and I'll also be doing the music, which kind of, it's not separate, it's not adjacent, it's kind of, it's just a nice little accompaniment, you know, and it will make sense when it happens, and it's going to be really fun. It's also a lot, I feel like a lot of pressure, because I haven't mixed acting. I don't know why. I would be fine with a little bit of nerves to get on a stage and do acting, and the same for getting on a stage and doing music, but putting them together is really, I don't know why, it's like a whole different ball game. I don't know why.
So you've never been in a musical as such?
No, I have because I used to do dance as well, but literally like as a kid in school, like I'm not going to say I trained in all 3, because I'm not trained in all triple threat. That's not what it was, but I did used to do all 3, and we would have musicals and stuff. So I've done it, but not in the same way that I've done them separately in recent years at all. Okay. And this isn't a musical anyway. Like, that's different, because if you're doing musical theatre, you're properly singing and you're properly acting, even when you're dancing. It's just so different.
You're doing all 3 at the same time. Okay, I guess.
Yeah, this is not musical theatre as previously mentioned.
No, I'm just.
It's just it's just going to be a little bit of ambience mainly, and a slight plot within a plot, which is so different for me.
Can you tell us a bit more about the character? Because I don't know a lot about the character.
Well, I don't know everything about the character yet. So I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, really. Oh, that feels very.
Have you signed an NDA?
I have not signed an NDA.
Go for it,
Carolyn. I'm sorry.
Carolyn's the director. I take it. Yeah. Okay.
So my character is a servant. So the play takes part in a stately home with a newly married couple that are just moving in, and then I wouldn't say they're the regular issues that a married couple faces these days, but potentially some of the same themes.
Like when we moved into our stately home, yeah, it was like that.
Right, yeah. So there's lots of darkness going on. There's lots of sort of love connections that maybe get in the way of one another and all of that sort of stuff. It's very, very dark. And then essentially we have 3 servants who are looking after this home. None of us have lines, and we will be doing the bits and pieces like setting the stage and stuff like that, but in character. And then we will also have our own little plot, and I'll be singing some songs about said plot and the other plots going on. And I think actually I'm being used to kind of set the tone a lot, because it's an old Eastern European play written by Ibsen, and we've translated it, and it's actually going to be a little bit of like a 50s noir type of vibe instead. It's going to be really cool. So I'm doing a lot of like jazzy, soulful songs on it that will fit really, really well.
They love a real theme, that country. Was it 1920s German expressionism in the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible, and the way they've
that worked really well.
Yeah, it did, and the way they sort of going back to what Pitchy do, and how they did. They had a minimal set, barely any props, really, and they used these what they have a name. What were they called?
Periactoi.
Those peri-peris, and they had light shining on them to make almost to the shadow created the set, and you just had sort of stage hands that were written in as being part of the story coming to turn them to completely change the set just through the lighting and the shadow. And it was just like, oh my god, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a really innovative way to do something really artistic that paid tribute to German expressionism, and also you know, it's a local theatre company that needs to be as resourceful as possible, and it was a brilliant way to combine all of those things. And we had, you know, multiple days in the rain painting periactoi, which is basically bits of wood that you sort of stick together.
Yeah.
So you know, that was a nice bonding time.
And I mean, the thing is, with German expressionism, as we know, it can go too far. And you didn't do that. You used just the right amount.
No. Yeah. That was... Wow. I forget how different we are online, you know.
Yeah. I'm very much just who I am as a person when I do this podcast.
No, you're who you are as a person, like, with an extra layer of something.
Of inappropriate humour.
Yeah. You let that fly.
No, but that's the thing is, though, as I said when I interviewed Christian a couple of weeks ago, I'm much tamer on this show than we were on Rabbit Hole.
I know. And you forget that we live together.
Yeah, I know. It was just... I know. Just, so, back to the music side of things.
Yeah.
You've performed live in the past a lot.
Yeah.
And you've done some pretty, as I said, some pretty big ones.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to that, you know, you were quite young at the time. I think you weren't even 18 when you did some of those bigger ones.
Trying to figure it out. I think when I did my biggest gig, I was probably 19.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was that like? I mean, playing to, what was it, 5,000 people? The biggest one, was it?
Yeah, it was 6,000 people.
6,000. Jeez, sorry, don't need to so sure.
No, but it wasn't, let's not pretend that it was like 6,000 people all watching me at once. It was so I grew up, this is odd, like, as if you don't know this, literally as my husband.
I'm just getting my head round at the same time. Did they all turn up one at a time or something? 6,000 people? I'm just taking forever.
So, it was at the Big Seven Scooter Rally, which I grew up going to. My dad has always been very involved in the ska and Northern Soul scene. That was a huge influence on my music taste. And I grew up, you know, when I started getting into music and recording my own stuff at 15, that was a huge influence on me. And after a few years, I ended up playing there. So it was a weekend of 6,000 people who, you know, a good chunk of them could hear me from where I was singing, and obviously was performing to an audience, but it wasn't 6,000 people like stood in front of me, like,
right, because
that would be a bit weird to have that and then be like, oh, it's not good, like, I'm just gonna stop now.
No, fair enough. Yeah. I mean,
but it was amazing. It was amazing because that is particularly that gig is a really well respected one within sort of that subculture of music. And I think as well, like, there's a weird little thing of there's not very many women in local live music really in comparison to the men at all, but particularly in that scene I found it to be even less, just because I think, you know, predominantly the people listening to ska and reggae, like, it's typically more of a male scene. Like, it's not definitely, you know, it's literally just the demand. So yeah, that was a really special one. I collaborated with Merck, who gave me my onstage outfit for that. It was like really cool at 19. I put a video of it on YouTube and it was like my best performing video. Like, it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I think very anxiety inducing, but then obviously a confidence boost thereafter.
Absolutely. I mean, that whole performance, the prep for that, were you with a band? Were you into tracks?
I was with a DJ.
You were a DJ. Okay. Okay. So
Northern Soul DJ.
And it was Northern Soul you were doing predominantly in that set, yeah?
I think so. I can't remember my whole list.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a bit of Millie, and then a couple of Northern Soul tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think anyone knows whether Millie Lollipop by Millie, is a ska track or a northern soul track? Because it appears on
No,
compilations for both.
I would call that a ska track if
Yeah.
it was one of the two. But it's literally because I was going, right, well, what songs by women are... Like, at that time when I had my set, it was like, well, which women are out there singing ska songs that are going to be loved by that audience who want the classics? You know, they didn't want, like, modern ska, which there's still not a lot of women, to be fair. So just picking out what would suit my voice, she got in there. But it was a lot of, it just is. There was a lot of songs by men because of that subculture of music.
Yeah, that is it, and you know that's.
Which luckily I have a very low voice.
Yep, you do when it comes to your singing voice, at least. Yeah, and when I get that, because those people you're talking about, the people I play to, and there are people come to watch it. I find the audience pretty fair split.
Mm-hmm.
But you are right. There aren't many, even when I play Northern Soul DJ set stuff. There's very few that are sang by women. I think a lot of that, like you say, is the registers of those songs are so low. They're so bassy. They're naturally bassy because of the sort of music. I wonder if that's got an effect on it or not. I don't know. It's just I'm just sort of trying to figure that out. Really,
I disagree. I feel like because if the women were there, they would just change, you know, the key
and
stuff. But I think it's more like with anything. I think, you know, men have had the access a bit. What?
The access.
Men have been doing lots of different things a lot longer than women.
Yeah.
And there's so many industries, and music is one of them, where, you know, women have only got maybe 100 years of being sort of allowed to get involved in it as much as men.
Mm-hmm.
And not even, I mean, now you're as able as a man to get involved in the music industry as a woman, but back in the day it would be a lot, you know, harsher parameters on what you looked like and what you sounded like and who would buy your music. So I think there's just, I kind of feel like there's just a bit of like getting used to it that we have to do throughout the generations, and I feel like women as a collective need to be doing it and see other women doing it and find that community and then feel a bit comfortable. And I think that's the same with anything. When you're building confidence, you know, it's not going to happen off the bat. So it's just trend, and it will change over time. The more people feel empowered to do it, you know, that will increase.
It's interesting that, because outside of general sort of pop stars, the place I notice more women in, as in genre, is metal. I see more metal female musicians and punk than I do in indie or ska, or you know. And if you think about the 90s Britpop bands, I mean, what, Sleeper maybe is one I can think of. And I was talking to somebody the other day about, you know, you go to open mics and it is like 99% guy with a guitar, and they were saying, sorry. What? And I was saying about, you know, you don't get the variety as much as somebody, and they said fair enough. I said, well, you know, there is you know, and they named a few people that they knew, women who did it. Named 5 people. Went, yes, but that's all of them. Yeah. You've just named all of them. There's hundreds of those you don't even know about, but you know about all of the women because it's rare to see it in Mile High City for or at least a year. Kelly, our drummer. People were blown away that we had a woman as a drummer. You know,
particularly as a drummer when drummers are hard to find.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah, and
I find that with keyboards. Like, I used to go to open, because I play keyboard. So I used to go to open mics with all of my friends who were playing that same open mic, and they were the same. They were all guys with a guitar. And if you have 10 people on that open mic night, you can see people by like number 3 or number 4, they're getting a bit like, might get up and get a beer now, like might just, and it tended to actually be, you know, it's sad that there are not more women around, but immediately women getting up with a keyboard is like, oh, something different, and it helps. But it's the same, because we went to your open mic the other day and I was the only woman performing. It's still really prevalent, and I wish that it was bigger on a local level for women. I think there are so many women who hold themselves back because they're not like that perfect level that they feel like they have to be. Whereas men often feel a lot more empowered to be like, I'm just going to give it a go and see what happens and learn on the job, which is exactly the way to do it.
We're a lot more audacious of the species, aren't we?
Well, I didn't want to say. But yeah, it's a common thing that's found across all levels of everything. Women tend to feel like they need to have it all 100% put together before they start, whereas men are quite happy to learn whilst doing. So I don't know if that's conditioning or if that's, innate within, but that's often, I think, what stops women starting.
Yeah. I mean, we're pleased to know the open mic at the White Hart is run by a lady called Danielle, and I'm sure that's going to foster an event where women feel more comfortable to go and potentially perform. So that's something that's happening there. That's positive there.
I think collectively it's just going to be compound interest in a way. Like the more women that women see, it'll be, and even a subconscious thing. As soon as you see more people that look like you doing things, you're more likely to do things. Yeah,
absolutely. And this is why, you've got, for example, indie rock music, very, very male power style, and I can remember when Block Party came along and they had a Nigerian British singer in Kale Karake being like, okay, wow, like this is great, this is cool, and I loved that band, particularly the first two albums, and it was great to see.
But is that then another layer of something where we were talking about being comfortable being seen? Like, is it maybe easier if you're really nervous to get up on stage and know that actually everyone's doing quite similar things to you and potentially even the same songs in the same key, and you almost, you're dressed the same and you're the same gender? Like, is that a little bit easier than
you're probably
getting
right.
up at your first open mic and someone that looks a bit different, or they're doing something different? Like, maybe there's I don't know. I feel like we need more. We just need more women and more spaces. Yeah,
and it's just insane when you think that music is all from diversity. All of it comes from particularly the British music scene, like the jazz and the soul that was coming over in the 50s that birthed that, and the R&B that come over from the States.
Diversity and authenticity.
Yeah. The music from the Caribbean, and then we ended up to the point where you had bands that were either mainly white, the Specials, or all white, Madness, who were like, this week, now that they've got access to that and exposed to it, look how much it's enriched the music that we've got, and I'm getting sick of seeing blokes who look like me with the pretty much the same guitar, like all doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, far be it, if there's men out there listening to this that feel like they need to start doing it, go do it.
You're not allowed, I said.
That was two very different messages from the Cooper household. Listen, I'm for anyone getting involved.
No, obviously, disclaimer, because there are some absolute pond life out there. I didn't mean that.
Unless you are pond life, in which case it might be a little bit hard to just have the
I thought you was going to say, unless you are pond life, in which case, don't start doing it.
No, I mean, if you don't have opposable thumbs, I'd imagine it'd be a little bit difficult to play guitar.
I would have thought so. I still can't play properly after all these years, so I wouldn't know. Maybe I should try not using my thumbs. Might make me better.
You're looking at me expectantly as if I'm going to laugh.
No, I'm looking for you to some reassurance, but I didn't get any.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, you're really good.
Oh, yeah. Stop using your thumbs. Yeah, it's right.
Oh my word! I'm sorry.
This is so different doing it face to face as well. This is.
Am I making you uncomfortable?
No, not at all. It's just that I don't know. It's just different. The whole body language is obviously different because I don't need any when I'm normally doing it.
Yeah, I've been flipping you off for like half an hour.
Yeah,
so you're doing quite well.
Yeah, it's been quite distracting actually.
I hope I said flipping clearly.
There's no K at the end of it, so you're probably fine.
Okay, great.
So with your community now that you've got on TikTok, you've got a great community there of people who tune into your lives. They watch anything you put up, from the important messages to the silly little skits that you do that are good fun. You know,
that one I did in my dressing gown.
Yeah, that one. There's one we're going to get onto in a minute as well. I definitely want to talk about. So, how do you foster that community? How do you encourage that community? And more importantly, you know, you've grown that community considerably over the past 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you know, quit your job huge or anything. It's not earning money. It's not earning huge like money.
No, but it's.
And I think I acclimatise the more it grows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh well, that's, you know, you compare. There are people on TikTok with millions and millions, and you can look at stuff and think it's nothing, but it's not nothing, because my followers are really engaged, and they are I love my followers on TikTok. Like, I have some really great relationships with some of my followers, and there are people who watch every video and they genuinely care about the changes that I'm making, or if I were to get on and say I'm struggling with something, they really, you know, they appreciate like talking about that on the internet, to be honest, and they support me massively. Like, I love it. So even, you know, it's not about the number, it's about the quality of the people that I've met and the quality of the relationships. So yeah, I just love it.
So if it's not about a number, why do you often say to me, oh, this one only got 300 views and the last one got 1,000? What's going on
right
here?
Firstly, I don't often say this one only got 300, because, you know, we move in the thousands over here.
In fairness, you do.
Because I'm very ambitious, and because it's, like I say, it's easy to acclimatise. And I think, you know, me that posted my first singing video in the kitchen in COVID and hitting 100 followers and being like, oh my gosh. And I remember hearing you can earn money from TikTok, and you can create you can go live on TikTok at 1,000 followers. I remember being like, wow, imagine if I get 1,000 followers.
Very reachable, isn't it, as well? But they're not putting it up at some ridiculous amount. They're really giving people a
100%.
space and
That's
the access to be able to do that.
Yeah, TikTok is a lot more, anyone can get on here and earn money if you learn how to create good content and you connect with people and create a following enough. The bar is a lot lower in terms of numbers of how quickly you can get there, but it differs from YouTube, because YouTube, you have to have a lot more people on there following you, but they'll pay a lot higher. So like, there's been creators, and some of the bigger creators therefore don't really favour TikTok in that way, because they can see a video that gets 1 million views and they know if they posted that on YouTube they would have got a lot more money in terms of ad revenue.
Hence why that makes sense why something like PewDiePie, for example, one of the biggest YouTubers, you don't see a lot of TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and when you're doing those videos, some of your best stuff has just been you being you, messing around, doing stuff that I see you do around the flat a lot. And that leads me to
God.
You spinning your hair around, your ponytail around to the new Cascada song. So we talk about the, you know, what you want people to take from the videos and the you know, the coaching and the inspiration. What did you want people to take from that video?
Okay, do you know what? I have told this story before. So, all the millennials out there will remember Cascada and her song Every Time We Touch being an absolute bop in the club, and any time that would come on anywhere, you know, school disco, you know, any place where it was happening, it would be a dance floor filler, to the point where it's now like, if I perform a wedding, it's now in my set for like a slowed down, really cute, because everyone loves that song. And she didn't ever go anywhere, to be fair, but she made a bit of a comeback to the the mainstream music arena, and she sung a song called Tell Me How It Feels, I think it's called. Yeah, it's called. I think it's called Tell Me How It Feels.
Just that you know, Liz, you had to spin her hair around to remember what it was called then.
With Jax Jones, and I was so excited because it was Cascada, and that, I'm sorry, that is an icon. I don't care if you're not into pop or club or dance music, you know who that is. When you hear a song by Cascada, there's like 4 or 5 songs that every single person in Britain of our age knows. I'm 100% certain. And I was at work and I'd seen on my lunch break that she'd come out and release this new song, and it was a bop. And I was walking around to all the millennials and they were like, oh yeah. And to be fair, they were getting on with their work, but I was like, I was like, why does no one care? And I literally got home and I was like, right, do you know who'll care? TikTok will care. So I set my thing up in my old sweater. That's my favourite sweater that I always wear. No bra. Hadn't brushed my hair. Was like, a couple of people will see this and they will care. 600,000 later, and people cared. I was right. And then basically went back to work the next day and spoke to those people and was like, told you.
Yeah.
So basically that came from spite.
And then you had a few critiques about the caption about UK millennials, and people were like, oh, what about us?
Oh my God,
that's ridiculous.
I really upset some other Europeans. So
We're not European anymore.
Oh, okay, I'm European. But like,
sorry to get political.
What was it? I put a caption. Basically, I was playing this song. It's on my TikTok if you want to go check it out. But I was playing this song and whipping my hair around to it, and it was like, when UK millennials hear this song and they realise Cascada's back, and it's like me, like hearing the song and then getting all excited about it. Basically, it was really basic, like an 8-second video or something. And I just said UK millennials, and that really upset some people because there was a lot of Gen Xers and a lot of people from other countries in Europe who were like, well, we know her too. Why can't we get excited about it? But like, I wasn't excluding anyone. I was just talking about the people that I thought would see that video. I didn't expect it to go to Europe. So, you know, I didn't mean to hurt anyone's feelings. And then I did a video replying and saying, look, didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Like, I just don't think this What About business is particularly helpful. And they were like, oh, I think you've read too much into it. And I was like, no, mate, because you're all over my comment section.
And there we go. Proof that people will argue over anything.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, they don't. Should we take that again?
I think we should just end it. No.
Wait, no. I'm sorry.
Oh, well. So what's been the most rewarding aspect of using your platform? To perform, but mentor, empower others to be creative, and to then go out there and be seen themselves.
I love when someone comments on a video, and I've had this a few times, and they will say, you know, because I've done a lot of content about changing my life, and a lot of music has been to do with that, and people occasionally will comment and say, you know, I've seen you making changes and I'm going to make a change in this way as well. Like, I've wanted to start A, B and C, and I'm going to go away and plan it and come back. And then I will ask them a couple of days later, sort of, how did that go? And they'll go, oh my God, it was amazing. And, you know, I did this for the first time today in years, and I feel really empowered and like so excited about it. And that is my favourite thing, completely. And I don't know if this is going to sound a bit weird, but like, I've had some things that I think people would think would be the cool bits. Like, I've had, you know, I've had a couple of viral videos, and I've had days where I get, you know, like a good few hundred followers in a day or two, and those are the things that people think are exciting, or like free PR from companies, you know, like the trousers I'm wearing, I got as PR from my TikTok, which is like so cool. But the things that are rewarding are when people connect with it and then connect with me and are empowered. That's the best feeling.
Yeah. And you've had one or two of your videos absolutely copied, completely lifted.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
how does that feel? Is it that still like, oh, well, you're doing it? Or is it, hey, fuck you, stealing my video?
I mean, it can feel a bit like that, but that's the platform. It's quite different because TikTok is so based on trends that sometimes if you get to a sound early, or if you get to a trend early and you put your spin on it, you've got a lot more likelihood of going viral then. But also, people will then copy you. So I think like it's how it works. So it can be a bit, it can feel really weird, but you can't really mind it because it's just trends. And then a few videos later, that will be the same thing that everybody's doing and everyone's copying each other. So it's not a personal thing. That's how the platform works. I think it's really different to, you know, when people steal a tweet or a whole YouTube video. It's a lot of a different feeling. It's not welcome at all. And there are creators that have whole things completely stolen, and that is different. Like I have a friend who has multiple accounts made of them when it's not them, and people try to scam them. And I have people who they'll have, you know, I've seen a fashion creator have another creator buy like the same dress and then use the same words to describe it and the same lighting and the same little wiggles, and it's literally picked up word for word. That is different.
So weird to
I
me.
know. It's
So
really
weird.
and it's that thing of authenticity as well. Doing the opposite of being completely authentic turns people off so much, and it's the wrong thing to do, but people do it because they feel safe.
But it's obvious that you've done it. Do you know, like, I could...
That's different though, like, because people might copy something if you set a trend. That's how TikTok works. That's fine. It's a bit odd, but like at first,
Yeah,
but
means
it's,
you're doing it
it's,
right in that respect, yeah.
That's fine. But doing that, I've not had like literal kind of plagiarism. That's a whole different kettle of fish. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
But
No,
it happens. It happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a very... It's a very, very strange world. It really is. So, we've spoken about your past music, spoke what you're doing with TikTok, and we've spoken about how you're going to be performing music in the play. What is next for you and your future projects and that creative journey?
So, I recently have been connecting more with the idea of helping people empower themselves through a couple of things not related to music. In my professional life, I've always done coaching, so like I love it. Like if there was anything in the world that made me get up out of bed for not, you know, that had nothing to do with money or legacy or anything, it would just be helping people. Like I genuinely find that so rewarding when you give someone a tool to do something and then they become happier and healthier with that. It's just the best. And I have been doing that in other ways in my life recently, through a couple of other ventures, which I don't know if they're really relevant to talk about it now, but I've okay, so I ran a Tough Mudder at the weekend, and I raised a bunch of money for a charity called A Sisterhood, who are a fantastic women's charity who help with causes all around the world, most notably prevention and treatment of acid attacks and some other nasty things, and domestic abuse centres all over the UK. So brilliant work. And I've also done that as part of a charity pageant called Miss Empower, which I'm a finalist in.
Woo!
Yeah, and the whole theme of everything lately has been about empowering women for me, basically, in my life. And it's all kind of, I don't know, it's not really intentional. It's just all flowing together. I'm finding myself helping more and more people, and I think I would like to expand that. I'd like to help more and more people as I go. I probably want to get into coaching people creatively as much as I can. I'm not entirely sure what that will look like, but I think a lot of it will be online, and a lot of it will be within the creative industries. And I'm just giving myself the room to kind of enjoy it, because when I have done creative endeavours before, it became so much of my identity that it became far too pressured. And I started recording with like some huge people back in the day. I've recorded with BAFTA and Grammy winning producers and played to 6,000 people, and like it was too much. So I am really trying to just follow the fun, follow what is rewarding to me. And as one endeavour ends, I'll pick up another, and I'll keep following my creative path and helping other people as much as I can. So that's what I'm working on.
Fantastic. And I'm really enjoying watching this pan out, and I can't wait to see the rest of it moving forward. It's going to be great. I know there's some plans of stuff that's still kind of in the works, so we've not gone into details with yet, but really looking forward to helping along and being a part of that in the background, behind the scenes as well. And it's just been so nice to watch you over the past year.
Thanks.
Getting back into that.
It feels like it's really ramping up now. And that hasn't been intentional. I think if anything, when I have made it intentional, it's been really hard to just execute. But when I've just followed my intuition and just enjoyed what's going on, then I've worked on more projects and met more people and done more cool stuff. So it's definitely good that way. I think but then it's also a bit random. Like the things that I'm doing now are really random. Like there's a recording project that you and I have kind of been working on together that is really odd. Yeah. It's not like, it's really fun, and if it comes to pass, it'll be amazing. Yeah. But it's really odd. I think you have to just trust the process a little bit and just follow the things that light you up. And I don't know, it's all a bit random at the moment, but I'm liking it. It's going well.
Yeah, that's great. Like you say, just gotta follow it and see what doors pop open on the way. Yeah. Well, this has been a very different show to normal. I've really enjoyed it though. Thank you for making the journey from the sofa to the dining table. Thing is, you probably were, knowing you. That's
there were leaves on the carpet.
There were leaves on the carpet?
Leaves.
Okay.
Like a train line. Like leaves on the track.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, you can't end it there. That's so unfair.
There's a thing called editing.
What, you're just going to edit out my hilarious jokes?
It won't take long.
Oh, fuck you.
Thank you for joining me and making the journey from the sofa to the dining table.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks.
Thanks for having me as the first woman on your podcast.
Yes, yeah, and it's I have contacted other women to be on the podcast, but none of them have got back to me. So I think that might say more about me.
Yeah.
But that's no, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun, and I will see you in 2 seconds.
Okay, see you then.
See ya. What's the kettle? You've been listening to the Bandwagon Podcast with me, Charlie Cooper. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Bandwagon Pod, and follow us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music and Amazon Music to keep up with future shows.